Welcome to Michael Potts F1, everything Formula One, but from a photographer's point of view. Winter testing for the 2023 season is upon us. The teams have spent the past 2 weeks showing off what their new liveries for the season will be. But there's nothing quite like winter testing. We did see a few trends starting to emerge. A lot of the cars had a lot more naked carbon fibre. But what the teams show us and what they actually race with can be two quite different things. And we won't know until qualifying at the first race in Bahrain which team has had a successful winter and which ones haven't. Now that the teams have unveiled their new cars for the season, we can rank them in terms of order of beauty. Well, at least order of beauty based on the renderings we've seen. It's actually going to be quite difficult to do that this year because none of the teams have produced a shocker. There's no horror shows. They're all pretty cool. It's quite a nice field of cars, even if they are just a little bit on the dark side. In 10th place, and starting with my least favourite design, we have AlphaTauri. My biggest concern with this car is around the nose. This large white area just looks unfinished. The introduction of red on the halo and around the edges of the car is actually quite nice. The team had an absolute shocker last year. They have a new driver in Nick de Vries. He's 28 and has several major championships under his belt already, Formula 2 and Formula E. So he's not your typical wet behind the ears rookie. He'll be up against Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda needs a big result early on. Because their results were so bad last year, I can only see this team improving. Haas is 9th in my beauty contest. It's a much better livery than last year, but it's not as good as some of the others out there. The team's results last year were better than the previous year, but they left too many points on the table. With a new sponsor and new drivers, this year should be a lot better. They'll be looking to the vastly experienced Nico Hülkenberg to get the most out of point scoring opportunities. He'll also be there to provide really good feedback and aid development, and most importantly, not to crash as much. He'll be up against Kevin Magnussen. He managed to get an outstanding pole position in Brazil. I do expect to see this team improving from last year. Alpine are next, and this is a little bit of a tricky team to kind of judge because they launched with not one, but two cars. I'm going to base my ranking on the car that they're going to race most of the season, so the pink and blue one. Had they launched only with a pink car, that would have been my number one without a doubt. Their pink variation looks stunning, but they're only going to be racing it in the first 3 races: Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Australia. I really don't think this livery of the mixed pink and blue works that well together. I don't think you could find two colours that live next to each other as uncomfortably as these two do. Structurally speaking, the car actually looks quite interesting. They've got a lot of innovations that are different to everyone else. For example, they have these massive gutters on the top of the side pods. They have an all-French lineup, and this could be potentially quite spicy. Gasly and Ocon grew up together. They raced karts together. They apparently were fairly close. And then something happened, and their relationship has never been the same since. Neither driver has divulged the details. This relationship is going to be intensely under the microscope. But who knows, maybe with enough joint photo shoots like this, they'll rediscover their childhood bond. This season, I can't really see them getting above 4th, but hopefully they can close the gap to 3rd place. Red Bull is 7th, and this might be a little bit controversial. They did have an impressive launch, and they had some amazing news that they've signed a big deal with Ford. But the car that they'll be racing for most of the races is pretty much their standard livery. And I have kind of marked them down because of that. They are behind a few other teams who have fixed visual identities. The reason for that is I don't think this is the best version of their standard livery. The RB7 is still my favourite. Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez continue with the team, and Max will definitely be the favourite to win his 3rd title. I do expect Red Bull is going to be the team to beat in 2023. Aston Martin is 6th in this highly unscientific, completely subjective ranking. As expected, Aston Martin have stuck to their brand colours. Astons have always looked fabulous, even if they haven't gone that fast in the past. But you can expect that to change this year. I don't think they'll be fighting at the front, but I do expect them to be fighting at the front of the midfield. The head-on view has some lovely details with these yellow lines underneath the side pods. From every angle, this car does look really good. Fernando Alonso has joined the team from Alpine. He started racing in Formula 1 before Oscar Piastri was even born. Lance Stroll will be in the other car again this season. He's going to have a real test going up against Alonso, whose past is littered with the hollowed out corpses of former teammates. Unfortunately for Lance, he is going to miss all of pre-season testing. He's had a bit of a bike accident. I do expect Aston Martin to be one of the teams that improve the most. Williams makes it into the top half in 5th place. There's some quite cute bits like the battery designed roll hoop. They have a new team principal in James Vowles and a new driver in Logan Sargent. Sargent is one of 3 rookies, and I think he might be the one that surprises people the most. Realistically though, it's going to be very hard for this team to do anything else other than finish last. They're in a bit of a transition and everyone else around them appears to be making big steps forward. McLaren miss out on a podium spot in this list, but they do win the prize for being the most improved design. It's quite interesting. They essentially used the same coloured crayons as they had last year, but somehow they've just made it so much better. It also helps that this is a very bright car in a field that's full of dark and moody competitors. All eyes will be on new boy Oscar Piastri. How will he do in the car that broke Ricciardo? And how will he do alongside Lando Norris, who also broke Ricciardo?
Yeah, I just can't wait to get back out and go racing again.
The team has a new team principal in Andrea Stella, and there's been a lot of murmurings and rumours that the team is not as far down the development curve as they would like. It could be really hard for McLaren to hold on to 5th place this year. Alfa Romeo is 3rd on my list. I love the red and black. It's super aggressive, but also really beautiful. They bagged a whole bunch of points at the start of last season when all the other teams were trying to figure out what the hell was going on. But their development didn't keep pace with the others, and they started falling back during the course of the year. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to do as well this year as they did last year, unfortunately. Ferrari are 2nd on my list, and once again, I must say, I really love red. I know Ferrari are always in red, but this is a particular good vintage. Maybe the shell logo is a little bit too big on the side. Maybe the black cutaway on the side of the car is a little bit random, but on the whole, it looks good. It even says Ferrari on the back wing, and that's got to be a good thing. There was so much positivity around the team at the launch this year that you really feel Ferrari are going to be the ones to challenge Red Bull. There's even a very good chance that they're going to sneak the Constructors' Championship, even if they miss out to the Drivers' Championship with Max Verstappen. This means that Mercedes are top. This is a bit of a surprise for me. I'd heard rumours that they were going back to black, but I didn't believe them. I did hear a rumour that they might be going back to their black livery of 2021, but I don't think that's very likely. And so it's great to be wrong, and especially when wrong looks this good. Maybe there might be some oddity around the part of the car that's painted black as opposed to the part that's black carbon fibre. From what I've seen so far, it looks like an absolute stunner. Thank you for watching this preview into winter testing and going through each of the team's livery ranking. I'm all packed and ready to head off to Bahrain. I'm really looking forward to the start of the season. I think testing this year can be a little bit more informative than it's been in the past. I think that the cars that come out on top of this will have a pretty good chance in the first race. I doubt any team is going to win the championship if they have a good few days of testing, but it could seriously put your championship hopes back quite a lot if you had a bad one. The other exciting thing that's going to be happening on the 25th of February is Netflix Drive to Survive will be released. They've picked a particularly awkward time to do this because most of us are going to be up to our eyeballs with testing, but I'll definitely binge the whole series before the season starts. Hopefully they'll be a little bit kinder to me this season. Until the next one, goodbye.